Good afternoon, everybody, and welcome to the Sports Box, where the only opinion that matters, right here. I am Mike Galetta, aka Hammonton Mike, with another divisional prediction for you. This time we're going to start with the NFC North. And again, we're going to go from the bottom to the top. We're going to talk about each team a little bit, give you why I think they should be where they are in record-wise, and give them a little bit of background on the draft and everything. We're going to start with the number 4 team in this division. I think it's going to be the Chicago Bears. Chicago struggled definitely last year, did have a couple injuries, but I just don't think talent-wise this team is up to snuff even still. Getting rid of their coach, starting new. Kevin White, good draft pick out of West Virginia, should give them some definite help at wide receiver with the loss of Brandon Marshall. Some key guys on the team to look for this year. Jay Cutler, obviously, Matt Forte, Alshon Jeffrey, stepped up and is definitely a solid wide receiver. Martellus Bennett, tight end, another solid player. I think offensively, the Bears aren't in horrible shape. I just think on the defensive side of the ball, they have a lot of aging veterans there, and they're going to get beat. Antron Roll, I don't know how much you're going to get out of him, a 12-year vet out of Miami. Lamar Houston, good anchor in the middle with a linebacker, solid guy. Sam Acho, I think he should be solid too as well, but I just don't see with the Bears schedule that they have and Jay Cutler's inconsistencies. I just don't see the Bears, going that far. They open up against Green Bay at home, which is, okay, but it's still Green Bay. And then in week 13 and 14, they do play Washington and San Francisco. So, they're winnable games, but I just don't see Chicago really making that leap, making that step. They're really going to have to tear it down before they go forward. I think Chicago ends up 6-10 in the division, and I could be wrong about that, but I really think Chicago is taking a step backwards. We're going to talk about the number 3 team in the division this year. It's going to be the Minnesota Vikings. A lot of people think the Minnesota with the upgrade of Mike Wallace, Charles Johnson, a lot of good weapons on the team, and defensively, I don't see Minnesota right there yet. I see him definitely taking a step forward. Teddy Bridgewater definitely is playing a lot better than he did as a rookie, obviously. But I just don't see in this division them really making the move to move forward. I think they're 1 year away. I think definitely next year is a playoff year. It possibly could be a wild card year next year, but I think definitely next year. I think it's the move. With the addition of Trey Waynes from the cornerback from Michigan State, Eric Kendricks, linebacker from UCLA, they definitely strengthened the defense for Minnesota. Key players, obviously Teddy Bridgewater, Adrian Peterson, he's back. He's going to be running hard, I'm sure, as he always is. Charles Johnson and Mike Wallace anchor that wide receiving core, which is 2 good weapons to have on that team. And Kyle Rudolph, this guy was hurt a lot of last year, so having him back is going to be a big crutch for Teddy Bridgewater. I think he's going to really use that to his advantage. On defense, you're anchored by Xavier Rhodes coming back from last year, and Xavier Rhodes, I think, is just going to be a good player back there for them. But again, nothing against Minnesota. I think they're going to be a good team this year. Sneak in maybe as a wild card, but I don't see it in the cards this year. I see next year definitely making a big run. They do open up at San Francisco on Monday night, this upcoming Monday night. And the next 3 games after that, though, are home against Detroit, home against San Diego, and at Denver. So you're really going to see what Minnesota is made of. I see Minnesota as 8-8 coming down the stretch. And again, sneaking as a wild card, but I think it's next year they make a move. We're going to talk about the number 2 team in the division this year. Is going to be Detroit. I definitely think Detroit stepped up this year, and they're going to be a good team. They got, even though the loss of Ndamukong Suh, I think it's definitely going to be a team that is to look for. You got, the kid out of Duke, Langston Thompson, definitely good anchor on the offensive line. And Amir Abdullah, you got to keep an eye on this kid coming out of Nebraska. He's definitely going to turn some heads. I think he's definitely going to be the running back that they're looking for. They've gone through running backs like Reggie Bush. Still have Joe Bell. But I think Abdullah is going to be more of a mix-up guy in the beginning, but I definitely think he's going to take over the role from Joe Bell. But we'll see where that goes with that. You got key guys on the team like Golden Tate, obviously Megatron, Calvin Johnson, the tight ends Pettigrew and Ebron. Ebron you didn't see that much of last year, was hurt a lot of last year, but definitely a good tight end to have on a team. And then you got obviously Stafford is going to be throwing all over the place again. You got Joe Bell as a good complementary back and a lead back for now. In defense, you got Haloia Nagata, and I'm sure I butchered that name, from coming over from Baltimore. with the Sue departure. And Stephen Tolik, here's a guy linebacker from coming over from Tennessee that should give them a little bit of support in the middle. So I definitely think Detroit's going to be there as well. Their schedule, they open up at San Diego, and then they have to go to England this year, which is going to be rough for any team. You know, the time change and things of that effect, but I don't think it affects Detroit. Then the last 3 games of the year, they were home at Minnesota, at Kansas City, and at Green Bay. So that's going to be a tough little stretch there that they have to go through. But I still think Detroit's up for the challenge. I see Detroit as a 9-7 team in wild card in the mix, definitely in there as a team. And what can you say about this number 1 team? But even though the loss of Jordy Nelson, I still think Green Bay wins the division. That's a big loss to Green Bay. But I just think Green Bay has enough chemistry together and enough weapons in the arsenal to take this division. You drafted Demarius Randall at safety this year from Arizona State. Accompanied with Clinton Dix. I mean, I think that's going to be a decent secondary. Even though they got torched by the Eagles, I still think they're going to be okay defensively. I mean, you know and I know defensively a lot of teams don't show different things, but I think definitely Green Bay is going to be there. Devontae Adams and Randall Cobb have to step up this year, which I think they will. Richard Rodgers, he's been coming on the last year and a half at tight end for them. Aaron Rodgers, obviously, and Eddie Lacy. Definitely a compatible offensive core to get some points on the board. Defensively, B.J. Raji, again, the aging veteran, but he's still got to get it done. Clay Matthews, hurt a lot last year, will come back. Julius Peppers. You want to say his career has been rejuvenated in Green Bay, but I don't think so yet. I think he's got to have a better year than he did last year and step up a little bit. And then Clinton Dix, definitely formidable safety back there, is going to play well for them. Green Bay does open up against Chicago at Chicago, and they do have a tough schedule. They play the AFC and the NFC West, which are comparable teams. But again, I think Green Bay does get it done. Aaron Rodgers has another good, solid year, even with the loss of Jordy Nelson. I think Green Bay ends up 11-5, wins the division, and everything's right in Cheeseville again. So that's all the time we have for the NFC North this time. Keep an eye out for my other specials, my other divisional specials, because look for your team. Because at the Sports Box, the only opinion that matters is right here. Take care. Thanks.